I'll just fucking hit it. Let's do that thing to the thing. I'm just babbling because it's basically there we go. Now it's probably working. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Let me hand it off to D for a sec. Go for it, bud.
What's going on, everybody? Hope you all can hear my voice. This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only. You have to be 21 and over to be here. If not, you have to get the flying flock out. Back to you, Mr. Fumidoro.
You heard the man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thanks very much for joining us. We were a little bit late, but better off than never, I guess we like to say. Thanks for joining us, my friends. I just had to make myself a cup of coffee, and that's just the way it is. So my excuse is that basically I had to make a cup of coffee. Ladies and gerbils, welcome. Oh, nice. North Star has some of his own. My coffee, I've been making Turkish coffee lately, so it's like piping hot right now. So I have to let it sit for a second. So an interesting it's the Turkish style, right? But it's interesting to me how it's kind of like a Japanese Zen practice. Basically, I have to let it cool down because basically not only I mean it's fairly hot coffee. Coffee's always hot when you fucking brew it, I guess, other than cold brew. But in this case, the way you make it, basically it has a nice foam covering and the whole like it's funny how the whole coffee concept basically in Turkish coffee has been perfected basically for a few hundred years. The foam basically insulates the coffee, keeps it warm, keeps the aroma inside and stuff. So you let the sediment settle a little bit basically, and it's this exercise in just chilling the fuck out. It's an interesting thought to me. It reminds me a lot about the tea ritual I call it of rolling a joint, or loading a bong, however you like to prepare your weed. But for example, I mostly smoke joints, and so from the moment I'm selecting my bud, I'm looking at the jars, I'm deciding, oh, what do I feel like smoking right now? I've already actually thought of it, probably maybe on the way home if I've been driving home, or if I've been home already, if I'm walking across the house, I'm like, oh, I could really use. Some of that banana cream cake sounds good right now, and so North Star knows what I'm talking about. I'm already starting to think about it. Your brain is sort of salivating, right? And you're basically already in that kind of a tea ritual where you're already in the experience of that weed, basically. And then as soon as you sit down and crack open the jar, and I always like to smell the jar, and then I pick my bud, and then I look at the bud, and I usually smell the bud too, and I'm ripping it apart, or either I rip it apart, or scissors, or I throw it in the grinder lately. All of that, I think people underappreciate how much of that sensory experience basically becomes part of the experience itself. The smell of the bud as it's sitting there on the papers, before I've rolled it up, basically, or as I am rolling it up, there's that little particular smell where I can smell the bud itself, and I get to, really look forward to what I'm about to smoke. And then as I lick the joint, I can taste the gum on the I mean sometimes you don't have gum on the papers, but my papers have a little bit of gum, and you can kind of have that little bit of experience. I don't know, the entire thing is this extended tea ritual, and I think people should appreciate these things more. I mean, of course, do whatever you want, but that's my opinion on the show. Anyway, welcome folks. Bud Kilowatt is giving us the green light, so we're good to go. I've been wondering where Bud was, so good to see him.
Yeah.
I was gonna reach out, so I guess I should reach out anyway. You sometimes forget you should just reach out to your fucking friends. But Bud, good to see you. Jones N2 grows in the house. Good to see you, buddy. He's second in the chat. D Zombie, our illustrious moderator, is right behind. Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever have any problems, concerns, questions, whatever, if I ignore your comment in the chat for whatever reason, unintentional or intentional, even, ladies and gentlemen, always feel free to let D know. Love for the Plant, also one of the main moderators. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure if you ever have any problems to look to one of the blue names. They're definitely the people who can help provide a link, for example, or provide an email, or provide a little bit more information about one of us or something. If you have a question, definitely those blue names would be somebody that you should check in on. Speaking of blue names, what's going on, D? Welcome, buddy.
Huh?
I said, what's good?
Oh, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, chat?
What's up,
The thing
D?
lagged out for a minute. I'm having Zoom problems, actually. I got
Oh,
a
really?
Yeah, yeah. Right before the show, I was in the waiting room waiting, and I got kicked out and shut off, and I got this message, Zoom message, error message. It was all weird.
That's weird.
Anyway, we're here. I've spoken on different things tonight. Nana's Boy, Black Candyland, and of course, from Fumidoro himself. Can't really see it. The gaffer tape. I got gaffer tape, guys.
Nice,
With
man.
matching hash.
Nice. That's great.
So hope everyone's
Hmm.
having a great night.
Excited
Cheers,
about that.
everybody.
Cheers, D. Good to see you, buddy.
Hmm.
Welcome, Joel. What's going on?
Not much. Having a good day. Well, compared to your coffee, I have a dismal cup of coffee here that was made this morning and heated back up in the microwave of some Starbucks drip
Yeah.
miserable winter roast. Yeah, it's a sad cup of
You
coffee.
just described some people's
I'm
version
tempted
of
to go
hell.
pour it out now after listening to your Turkish coffee. I'm like, damn, I don't even want to drink this. This is like,
That amuses me because I bet you I mean, we probably don't have enough coffee nerds on the show to have anyone just have a stroke from what you said, but I've definitely met people in my life that probably that's their version of hell, like microwave morning coffee from Starbucks.
it's like, all right, well, I need a cup of coffee, and that's my time schedule. One's in the microwave. It's just like,
You know,
short on
one of the
time, and
most
I just,
amazing
ugh.
one of the most amazing things about well, okay, I guess how shall I couch this? So coffee culture can be obsessively idiotic. It can be, speaking as somebody from the epicenter basically of coffee culture, the Pacific Northwest, it's on another level. If you guys have never been to the Pacific Northwest, you just don't know how nuts the people are about coffee. All the coffee companies basically come from the Pacific Northwest. Starbucks comes from Seattle. They still have the original Starbucks that you can go to, da 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 da. Anyway, how do I put this? There's a lot of coffee snobs worldwide, obviously now, that have $1,000 setups, multi-$1,000 setups for espresso. Like you can easily spend 5, 6 grand on an espresso machine. That's not the most expensive machine you can buy. Not even by like a fucking like not even like for example bikes. Anyone who follows bikes knows that a $5 or $6,000 bike is just getting started. I should say bicycles, obviously motorcycles. That's just getting started too. But even with bicycles, you can buy Italian carbon fiber bicycles for 25 fucking $1,000, and that's just the frame and shit. You know what I mean? Like that's not for any of us, right? But that's for the super obsessives. Same thing. There are these crazy fucking Italian machines, the Merzacos and whatever. They're literally starting at $5, $6,000. So coffee culture can be idiotic, and the process of coffee can be so up its own ass too. Honestly, making espresso and stuff can be super far up its own ass. People that are really into it, they basically weigh the beans and they time themselves and everything else. And actually, one of my favorite parts of getting back into Turkish coffee, I haven't made it for a long time. I used to make, I mean, I normally make an AeroPress, but I'm trying to get away from the plastic and whatever. Long story short, basically, I bought a new house, so I've been thinking about finally treating myself to an espresso machine. I've wanted an espresso machine for a long time, but then in the process, I'm like, fuck, do I really want to spend several $100s on a fucking machine and da da da? So I thought to myself, hey, let's just explore some of these old coffee methodologies that I used to like, right? So I got back into the Aero or the French press and a few other things, and back into Turkish coffee, which is a lot easier. I found my old grinders and stuff. And one of the most fucking amazing things about Turkish coffee is that from the moment you get the inkling to make a Turkish coffee until the moment that it's done in the cup, it's like 3 minutes. Like it's the easiest fucking method you could possibly imagine. I mean, if you have one of the manual grinders, that can take a little bit longer because if it's one of the super slow ones, it could take maybe 2, 3 minutes to grind it. But then, other than that, the making the coffee literally is a couple 3 minutes and you're fucking done. Then it has to cool down a little bit in the cup, but I mean, that's not a big deal. Honestly, most people cool down their coffee anyway. How long does your Keurig take, D? I'm curious. Because when I think about a Keurig, I want to say I'm gonna guess. I want to say about the same. I want to say maybe 2, 3 minutes for a Keurig. What do you think?
Yeah, not even. I think it's even faster. I'm making one right now, so I'll actually time it.
So I'll give you that. That's probably the fastest fucking way to make coffee, short of instant. Obviously, you pour some powder,
Yeah,
hot water. But
not
and there's
And
smart.
plenty of
espresso is
actually shocking to me. Worldwide, a lot of people, probably most people, drink instant coffee. Like if you go anywhere in Europe, people are like, "Oh, espresso, espresso." Yeah, maybe, but a lot of people basically just drink fucking instant. Honestly,
All right.
all over. Like when I was in Israel, 95% was instant coffee. It was honestly garbage for coffee. I finally found one great coffee place in Safed, Israel. Funny. I mean, I'm sure Tel Aviv has plenty. I'm sure that whole region, probably Jerusalem, has plenty of coffee shops. But everywhere that I went, the coffee shops were just beyond mediocre. Even if they pulled an actual shot from actual beans, the beans were clearly not fresh. They were, prepackaged from 6 months ago in fucking Italy somewhere, or whatever else. Anyway, it's kind of funny as a Northwesterner, as a Portlander. Basically, everybody has their own coffee grinder. Some people roast their own coffee beans. I don't roast my own beans, but I would like to. One of these days, I honestly would like to get into roasting my own green beans. I have done it before, but it's been a long fucking time. Anyway, whatever. You guys are like,
I
what the
feel like
fuck
with
are you
every
talking about
every
coffee
kind
for?
of thing, whether it be like any little niche hobby or culture, there's always the extreme end of the spectrum where there's a super expensive ultra things that are made, whether it be a car, cannabis. I mean, you could spend thousands of dollars on a glass pipe. I mean, some people that would be crazy. You could spend $1 million on a car. I mean, some of there's those extremes for everything, just about that are. As you get to the point to where like how much better is the more expensive item than the one that's like half the price? I mean, you get like for instance for like a car, how much better is the $1.2 million car than say a $400,000 supercar?
Law of diminishing returns, right? Yeah, absolutely. Good example. I mean, obviously, I guess if you're a fucking oil baron or a sheikh or something,
Gets into like exclusivity is more or less I think what you're getting as opposed
100%.
to actual
But let's
performance or
say,
anything.
yeah, one of those Bugatti Veyrons or whatever. I guess they have other Bugattis now too. They're even more expensive. That's definitely out of my fucking price range of 10 lifetimes. But those cars famously go over 200 miles an hour, right? Well, honestly, so does a Nissan. Honestly, a Nissan Z could get up to 200 miles an hour. It's not going to get there as fast as the fucking Bugatti, but there are plenty of cars that cost a Corvette. Honestly, a relatively souped up Corvette could get up to 200 miles an hour probably almost as fast as the Bugatti can. And the Corvette you can have for under $100,000. A souped up Corvette for way less than a Bugatti. Bugatti's what, $2 million or something?
Yeah,
And they have more expensive ones now too. But a
But
Corvette can get you there 95% of the way for what, 10% of the price or something, right? So then
yeah.
you become you get into that law of diminishing returns. And you have the same thing basically in almost every avenue of life. Speaking of coffee, speaking
Mm-hmm.
of audio, audiophiles are famous for this. The difference between a $2,000 or $3,000 stereo and a $200,000 stereo is actually not that big. You can notice it, and almost anyone can notice it over time, but it's not like, how do I put it? It's not like one is sound and the other is not sound or
Yeah.
something. You know what I
Like I
mean?
can't listen to
Almost
regular audio anymore.
100%. People listen to iPhone speakers all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people clearly are able to dumb down their audiophile tastes, right? Same thing with coffee. The difference between the coffee on that $5,000 Marzocco coffee machine and a $500 DeLonghi or something is not very big. I bet you
Mhm.
anything that most people would not know the difference. And honestly, most of the time, there probably won't be a difference. But if you're really exceptional, like someone who's really exceptional
Mhm.
at the machine, for example, we're so nerdy about weed, right? That I like to be really nerdy about everything. So, like, I like to perfect my coffee, I like to perfect my food and everything. I think a lot of people like us are that way. How do I put I fucking lost my train of thought. I was trying to say, uh, oh, that we perfect our methodology. Oh, my fucking God, I lost my train of thought completely. What the fuck? I blame the weed, man. It was in fact, I spoke the banana cream cake jealousy before the show. Uh, I was getting to the whole point about perfecting our method with the different machines. Anyway, long story short, there's not much difference between the $1,000 thing and the $20,000 thing when it comes down to it. You're like 95% of the way most of the time.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think the real expensive stuff is marketed exactly. They market that to people that are just truly so passionate about it that the money's not an object when it comes to perfecting their craft.
mm,
And then you have the people who are like, I want that too. I got a lot of money and I really don't care. So they'll spend lots of money just because they want to brag about having lots of money or they have the best of something. Same crowd might market to them, whether they can appreciate it or not. They'll still be willing to buy it.
yeah, and you have that basically in all parts of life, right? We kind of like to think of those people as what's the word that we
For
obviously.
instance, like your Bugatti, I'd be like buying a Bugatti and having a chauffeur drive you.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
really?
Or
Don't get a
pulling up, which
Bugatti.
I've seen, by the way. I used to live in LA, and I used to see I guess they've closed a lot of those clubs now that I think about it on the Sunset Strip. But every Friday, Saturday night, honestly, throughout the week, but especially every Friday, Saturday night, you'd see, I mean, fuck the Prince of Nigeria, or who I don't know any of those people, right? But I'm sure it was because those people live in LA. It'll be some prince from Ghana, it'll be some fucking sheikh from, I don't know, Saudi Arabia, the crown prince Prince of Liechtenstein, and basically they'll show up in their fucking Bugatti and their F40 Ferrari, these one of a million fucking cars, these supercars, right? And you just kind of shake your head because you're like, this is a purpose-built supercar that's honestly meant to be raced on a fucking track, and you're pulling up in a nightclub so people see you in it. You know, it's like the most offhanded stuff. It's like to me, it's backward loser stuff, right? But I guess to them, that's the way they show off, right? Um, what did I see? A couple days ago, I saw something on Reddit. There, I can't even remember the race car driver, but it's some race. He's not F1. He's some race car driver. Anyway, he has a Pagani. He's apparently rich. He's some Argentinian kid who comes from money. Race car drivers are usually rich, right? He's got a Pagani Zonda, which is this also super fucking expensive car, literally as his room divider. It's up sideways basically as his room divider for his house and probably trying to show off like I'm so rich I have $2 million car sideways. But you know, everyone in the comments was like, fuck, that's tacky, right? And it was, it's tacky as fuck. It's like, why do you have this amazing car sideways in a house? Like the fuck you what are you doing? It's like taking bacon and using it as a flower bouquet. I don't know, like you're not using it for the thing that's fucking intended for, you know?
Yeah, I don't understand that.
It's ridiculous. But again,
At least he's a race car driver. If he wanted to, he could actually drive that car to potential.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Right? Like the Shake, he's got a chauffeur driving or whatever. Meanwhile, the 20-year-old kid in the Honda Civic torches him.
Yeah.
He can't keep up with it because he can drive better. It's just like
goodness gracious, I've seen that any number of times. I'm sure. Well, Bud Kilowatt is one of the people in the chat that is certified to be a good driver. But how many times have you seen people in dumpy cars beat the person in the crazy fucking whatever the shit because they don't know how to drive? That happens constantly. Goodness fucking gracious.
Spend some of that money on driving lessons.
Ferrari. Anyway, Braindead is drinking Cuban coffee right now. Right on. People are all talking coffee still. Good to see it. Everybody's going, interesting that instant coffee. Oh no, Love for the Plants says, interesting that instant coffee is that popular there. I know it. Absolutely fascinating. You think to yourself, oh, a Mediterranean food culture. And don't get me wrong, in many cases, the people are quite persnickety about their food. Like, for example, when I was in Israel, I have never in my life seen so many, including in Greece or Italy, I've never seen so many varieties and types of preserved olives. At every fucking grocery store, easily 50 different types, prepackaged, bulk bins that you can pick yourself, whatever. Italian, Greek, Spanish, and then also any number of different varietals, huge green ones, small green ones. Actually, the big green ones were my favorites. They had this incredible, like a delicate, meaty texture, fucking and like piquant, like oh, it was a fucking fantastic flavor. Anyway, I've never seen such variety, and then yet everyone's just drinking fucking instant coffee. I'm just like, what the shit? Like coffee literally comes from down the street, basically, like down the fucking peninsula. But yeah, people do what people do. It's funny. Even in Italy, a lot of people drink instant coffee. Now, granted, the mocha pot is pretty common in Italy. That's some nice looking weed the North Star is showing off.
This is Dr. Kanangas is actually getting ready to, when I get done the show, I'm going to get this buck down and put it into the jar. This was 14 weeks of flour in here.
Nice. Nice.
I just broke off this bud here, but yeah, it's just, I mean, arm-sized nugs. This is this branch. It is some. This makes up for my lack of good coffee.
What was I just going to look up? Man, I have the worst memory today. I was going to say, I don't remember. Folks, hop on. We still have a little bit of the show left. It's supposed to be an hour, basically, that you guys check in. But ladies and gentlemen, you guys are welcome to hop on. I guess I didn't say this before. Simple rules, honestly. If you'd like to hop on, we would like you to simply ask nicely in the chat. Hey, can I get a link? Basically, that's all. You don't have to beg or grovel or something. If you want to bribe us, that's independent. You can certainly.
Okay.
You're not going to get anything for the bribe. I mean. I really like chocolate baked goods, things like that. Brownie. what else? Banana. I love banana bread. D. I don't know. What do you like to be bribed by? I don't know. Again, you don't
Flour's
have to get
good.
anything for it. What's that, D?
Good old flour's good.
It's. I mean, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
I
That's
can't
solid.
damn.
But in the meantime, though, you don't actually have to bribe us, ladies and
No.
gentlemen, on the show. You just have to ask nicely in the chat. Just say, "Hey, could I get a link, please?" And any blue name can provide it for you. We have very simple rules, honestly, that you obviously see us abiding by. Don't be a dick. Don't show your dick, and don't be a fucking lunatic. Honestly, I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory, all three of those. But for those who need those rules, we don't need to see your dick. We don't want to see your dick. We're not going to see your dick. It's just not going to happen. And if you're a fucking lunatic, go start your own show somewhere else. Go do something else somewhere else. It'll be great. It'll be fun, but not on this show. But if you're able to be cool and chill and just super pleasant and everything else, you're more than welcome to hop on the show, even if you have a different opinion or a contrary opinion. I do have one exception that I guess has to be clarified from now on, apparently. No Nazi shit. There's no exceptions whatsoever. No Nazi shit whatsoever. Yeah, none of that. But other than that, you guys are welcome to have contrary opinions and hop on here. But
Did you check out any of the AI summit they were having today with Sam Altman and everything? Like, so like the Stargate
I've been busy.
infrastructure.
Tell us a little bit more. I've been hearing a lot of news about it.
Oh, I caught most of it. I heard some on the radio, some on TV. Basically, they're getting to 100 billion already going in, and they're looking to add another 400 billion to that 100 billion over the next 4 years, with a $500 billion investment into infrastructure, into building the world's largest AI supercomputer infrastructure right now in Texas, but they want to expand to multiple states. And they were working with some medical firms too that are super interested in using this to basically do blood screening to screen out cancers. They were saying they're looking to, in the short term here, near term, be able to screen your blood, pick out cancers that you might be at risk of catching right then, and then make a vaccine based on that cancer and your body type within 48 hours, specified for you to make you immune to that cancer cell attaching to you and making you sick and so forth. And they're claiming they're going to be curing, not treating, but curing multiple kinds of cancers, heart disease. I mean, they said the technology with AI becoming faster and faster, we're going to start weeding out and finding actual cures for all these diseases at a record pace. So
It's interesting that you mentioned that because Zuckerberg from Facebook, basically, that also has a massive AI program. People don't, I think a lot of people don't know, Facebook has a Meta, I guess they call it, is the
yeah,
big umbrella corporation. They have an open sourced Llama AI program, basically, where they're still developing it behind the scenes, closed source, so to speak, but then they constantly they constantly release the model basically to the public so that the public can work with it actually and tune it. Unlike OpenAI and stuff, OpenAI was started with the premise of being open and nonprofit, but they've completely flipped that, right? Anyway, he is saying that in 2025, this year, he's going, and he should know because he's the fucking boss and the primary shareholder, he's going to be firing most mid-level engineers at Facebook. Whether or not he's lying or not is an open question because a lot of people say that that's still basically a lie, but he's saying he's going to actually start firing not even just a few, but most mid-level and lower level engineers at Facebook. These are basically people that make 250, 300,000 a year. You know, not the high level guys that are making $1 million, $2 million a year, but these are all the people that basically started in their 20s, 30s, and now, you know, when they're in their 40s and 50s, then they make their fucking crazy big bucks. But basically, where do you get the high level engineers if you don't have the low level engineers anymore? I think we're going to have that weird kind of a society in the future where we're going to have a bunch of people that are still useful and then a lot of people who are not fucking useful anymore. And yeah, it's great that AI will be able to cure cancer, but what about the 75% unemployment that is coming
yeah.
about?
I heard a show a couple weeks ago talk about that too, where 6-7 years ago, everyone's telling everyone's got to learn how to code. Everyone's got to learn how to code or to teach all the kids how to code.
Yeah,
Now
but you
there's
did
now the
learn how to
companies are
code.
saying that literally AI is going to be writing half of their code next year because AI
Mm.
does it at twice the speed and half the cost. So it's that might not exactly. You're going to have people that learn certain things, but it's not going to be for coding. There's got to be you're planning to be some kind of executive level up ahead somehow, or I don't know how you're.
Mm.
We'll see how the future evolves, I guess, to see how things work out. It's going to be interesting.
That's I mean, interesting is putting it mildly, I think, because
Yeah.
it's okay. This is verging, of course, in modern America. Basically, almost everything is political anymore, so it's very difficult to avoid political subjects. So it's very difficult, I guess, for me to, how do I put this? We're not gonna be able to fucking. Basically, I was gonna say that we're basically handing control of a lot of stuff to the worst people possible, and I don't want to get political in this in terms of the new administration, but I guess basically Sam Altman is, I think, one of those people. Basically, he's by many people still consider him, one of the figureheads of AI and stuff. But a lot of people kind of seen through his shtick a little bit and have said basically he's probably one of the last people that you want in charge of AI. You want one of those Ilya Sutskever guys in charge rather than the guy that kicked him out of the freaking company, Sam Altman. So it's like, man, we're handing the control of these world-ending technologies, potentially world-ending technologies, to people who don't deserve them. Honestly, they don't deserve this power. So that's disconcerting, to put it mildly. Like when I hear them talk about safety and everything else, it sounds like the Cheshire Cat, basically. Like Sam Altman is not one of those people I think who has the rest of our benefits in his mind. Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps I'm absolutely
Well, I
wrong.
think they have to be
Get
smart
back to
enough
me.
to realize that if they create AI that puts all these jobs out of existence, like their middle level employees and everything else, then they come to a point where there's going to be no one to buy their products. There's going to be a lack of employment in general. It's going to hurt the world economies in general. If no one's going to have any means of worth, if no one's not producing
I
anything
mean,
that
you would
produces any.
assume so, and basically all of the world's stock markets and everything else fundamentally get their value from the economies that underlie them. But I think we're seeing a fundamental decoupling of a lot of this stuff, whereby in the future, a lot of companies are going to be able to just basically buy and share trade, buy and share, um, buy and sell shares of entities, virtual entities or otherwise, that generate value. Sam Altman has been saying that he's going to know that it was such a strange definition of AI, of super intelligence. Someone asked him, hey, how will you know when we have super intelligence? Actually, now that I think about it, this was apparently a leaked internal memo. I'm forgetting. Hardcore, if he's watching, might remember this a little bit better than I do. But he said basically that they'll know that they have super intelligence when they have a company that can generate $100 billion in revenue just with AI agents. So essentially, no people involved except for maybe the boss in charge that owns the thing, and it will be 100 billion with a B. That's a gigantic fucking company, like a gigantic one, bigger than GE, bigger than Ford, bigger than all these fucking companies. $100 billion company that essentially has no people in it. And so basically, it makes you think like, okay, they're talking about a future where basically virtual entities are sharing virtual value amongst each other, and the rest of us don't even compute. It's disconcerting. Love for the Plant was saying, oh, three comments back. It would be great if all those AI investment dollars could be used for fixing everyday fucking problems in this country. Country's broke, yet we have AI. And people have a related complaint lately, whereby a lot of the first use cases of AI seem to be all the cool creative industries that people either wanted to do at the, when they retire, or dreamed of doing, or dreamed of having as hobbies, whatever the case. And basically AI removes the point of a lot of those endeavors, or seems to anyway. Um, how do I put it? You thought that they were going to come for the drudgery. You thought AI was going to come for the drudgery first, but somehow it's coming for all the cool stuff first, and the drudgery it's saving for last. So I guess that's what I'm getting to. I'm like, how are we handing this shit to the wrong fucking people, instead of people who would benefit mankind? Love for the Plant says, reality is there are only so many dollars in this country, and sorry, reality is that there are only so many dollars, and this country is not allocating those dollars to best serve its citizens. Hard to argue with that. Love for the Plant. The amount of money being funneled into AI could solve so many American problems and fix infrastructure. Hard to argue with that either. Of course, the AI people argue that the AI will solve those problems. That seems to be a very utopian solution. Just trust us, bro. We're going to fix all your problems at the end of it. But that's certainly how they're selling it to us, right? They're telling
I
us,
think
oh,
a lot of the problem is all of this stuff is based off of fiat currencies that everyone just wants to trade back and forth.
hmm,
There's no value behind any of them, really. I think the real value would be if you had your own currency. Each person had their own currency. Like, for instance, I trade currency in, I produce seeds. I can do manual work. I can do carpentry. I can cook. I offer hours or service point, service value of whether it be hours or number of seeds, whatever I'm offering in exchange for somebody else, like downtown, the baker. He has tokens or coupons for loaves of bread that I exchange for hours of work or seeds or, bushels of lemons or whatever I'm growing. Everyone has their own currency, what things they produce, things of their value they can exchange with for other people's tokens of value and currency, so forth. And you exchange goods and services that way and avoid a lot of the cash for stuff you would need.
Certainly a lot of weed people would love to be able to barter and so on. How lovely would that be, right? How many times have we heard, well, Smash, he's usually on the evening show, but how many times has he said over the years that he's been able to do it a few times, but he's wanted to trade weed for whatever, for camera gear, for whatever. And ideally, wouldn't that be nice? It used to be in many cases that you could trade weed for gardening services. I've heard of people trading weed
Oh, yeah.
for lawn care services, you name it, right? But these days it's a lot harder, especially when weed is legal at the dispensary. The lawnmower guy can just go to the dispensary. He doesn't actually need you to trade weed for, right? So anyway, makes money a shorthand kind of. I don't know. Folks, hop on. We have a little bit left in the conversation here. We're obviously goofing
Me,
off weird stuff so far, but we're certainly happy to talk about your guys' gardens or what you've been growing lately. We also don't have to be here the whole show, of course. Excuse me. But ladies and gentlemen, normally we're here until a little bit after 1, usually about 1:20. So do hop on, folks. We'd be happy to give you the link if you just simply ask for it. That's all. Love for the Plant is saying this country serves the rich now more than ever. What clued you in, Love for the Plant? Was it the fact that at the inauguration they had the richest three men in the world, or I guess three of the richest men in the world, because technically one of the richest guys is a French guy, but three of the richest guys in the world whose combined wealth equals over $1 trillion in the front row? Was it that, or was it something else? I'm obviously fucking. I'm not making fun of VT. Um, Southern VT was saying, I don't know, I don't know that this has to be discussed, but it has been really disturbing to see the amount of gaslighting from Elon fans and so on. Vermont Vintage is saying, what was the deal with the Elon salute? Was he trolling and doing it as a joke? And my answer is no, he's not trolling and doing it as a joke.
wow.
He was doing it for real, my friend. He was doing it fucking for real. You could see how happy he was to do it. He did it twice. I believe he actually did it 3 times, but I haven't seen the third one. But he did it once and turned around, did it a second time. No, it's not the Roman salute. Yes, it was the Roman salute 2,000 fucking years ago, but everyone knows it's the Nazi salute now.
China. That's
It's
crazy.
not the
Yeah,
Roman.
I haven't watched the inauguration yet.
Hmm.
So I don't know what you guys were talking about until now.
Yeah, it was
That's
the it
crazy.
was
He's a freaking
well,
nut job.
it's weird because apparently it has not been on the news on a lot of conservative places, but goodness gracious, it's been all over Reddit. Fascinatingly enough, apparently not on the conservative subreddit, but I don't spend a lot of time there. Still, the old-fashioned coffee pot is saying Elon Dolph Muskler. So something people don't know or don't really realize, actually, and it's really quite disturbing that at the moment we have two South African backers in our government. It's not that I'm trying to be anti-South African. We have South African viewers of the show. There's a lot of lovely people from South Africa, but South Africa has a very strange history, dark history with apartheid. So it's very odd that J.D. Vance famously was backed and pushed forward basically by Peter Thiel, and Trump famously was backed by Elon Musk, and both of them basically spent tons of money to back these guys. So presumably both are owed huge favors. Another bizarre coincidence is that Peter Thiel actually fired Elon from PayPal. Um, 20 fucking years ago, 25 years ago. I guess I don't remember exactly the story right now off the top of my head, but Elon actually illegally immigrated, funny enough, and started his Zip to Go or some shit, whatever. It was a payment processor, and basically PayPal kind of gobbled it up. And in the process, Elon basically became CEO, and he terribly, as he often does as CEO, because his ideas are terrible. And Peter Thiel had him fucking fired. And apparently, since then, Elon had a massive butthurt boner for Peter Thiel. They must have gotten over it because they seem to be friends now. But anyway, very interesting history. I guess there's a new biography by Seth Abramson about Elon Musk, and I've only seen passages, but he's talking about quite a bit of Elon and his parents' history. There's quite a bit of very how do I put it? Good, overt racist shit, basically. I don't remember if it was basically Elon himself, but his dad certainly, and his dad owned those apartheid era mines in Zambia. Not great shit. Anyway, whatever. Let's change the subject because those people are terrible. What were we talking about? Why did he do it? I mean, VT, come on. Why does someone become a Nazi? We've had this discussion probably for 75, 80 years. I don't think there's any one answer, honestly. Why does someone become any terrible fucking thing? I guess there's really no one answer, but pick one, and I guess and go with that, and that'll work for the rest of us. Love for the Planet is saying that and other things. Let's see what the other comment was. Cheers, by the way, Coffee Pot. Good to see you. Well, since no one else is hopping on, I guess we can just spend the next couple minutes chatting. North Star and D, I've been really struggling with my new garden. I basically bought a house and I've been trying to set up this new grow, and I'm committed to growing in the garage, which has been fucking difficult as absolute shit sacks because it is cold as balls right now. It's like freezing cold. It's definitely not as cold as it is in the Midwest, for example, but it's cold enough that I'm really struggling. And I would prefer, in my case, I'd prefer not to spend thousands of dollars kitting the place out. I'd prefer not to spend thousands of dollars, first of all, on electricity for heating the place, and
Yeah.
not to go way overboard, right? So I'm trying to figure this out, and goodness gracious, I'm struggling. Have basically everything sealed up. I could do a little bit more crack sealing around the rim joists, for example. What else? Gosh, I've wanted to do something about the slab because the slab is obviously just sucking heat out, but motherfucker. And the main thing that I'm struggling with that would solve all my problems if I fixed it, but I can't think of how to fix it, is that I'm losing all my heat straight out of the garage ceiling because it's an unfinished garage. So basically, I see my rafters and stuff, right? So the heat just goes straight up and right out the ceiling. And there doesn't seem to be anything that I can do about it unless I were to finish the garage. If I were to finish it and put the garage ceiling in there and then put a blanket on top of there, then I could hold that heat in. But I'd prefer not to do that because
How
I'm.
big is the garage?
Go ahead.
How
It's
big is the garage?
goodness gracious, you'd think I would have measured it by now. It's about 20. It's a two-car garage. It's basically about 23, 4 feet wide by a little bit less deep. Let's call it 20
So
feet.
you could say put in like build a room with a finished roof in say maybe 20% of the garage.
I actually have a small finished room in the back where the water heater is. I thought about
You could
using
just do
that.
that with a
I'm thinking
little
about
sleeper
using
floor,
that.
get it up off the ground. Even 2x4 insulated sleepers on the floor would be enough to get some kind of insulation off of that concrete.
You know.
Put a little roof in there, have an exhaust in that little room. You can exhaust out into the rest of the garage, and then you're trying to maintain temperature in a smaller little area. It might be more affordable to do. And as far as finishing the entire garage, it probably would cost as much to build a little room as it would to finish the rest of the garage out.
Yeah, to be honest. What was I going to say? That's kind of what I used to do, but basically my old space was so much easier to condition because it was basically a basement, so it was never really any
Yeah.
lower than soil temperature. And here in the Northwest, soil temperature is usually low 60s, high 50s. It's usually not really variant from that. In the summertime, might get a little bit warmer, right? So it was pretty easy to just kind of start with that as a baseline. So I would oftentimes just recirculate air and stuff to warm things up. But how do I put it? This is a lot different because I'm not having that insulating effect, right? Like the bottom temperature really is outdoor temperature right now. So basically,
Mm-hmm.
if it's freezing outside, or what was it, 25 degrees last night? If I turned everything off, it would get 25 degrees in there, right?
Yeah,
So
it'd be cold as shit in there.
Fucking cold as shit, absolutely. So I'm trying to figure it out. Part of me thinks that the slab might take some time to heat up because basically before I bought the house, the garage was never really heated. At least it wasn't for a long time, as far as I know. So my thought is, okay, over time that slab will heat up a little bit, basically as the garage is there. I've only really been growing in that garage for a couple of weeks, honestly, and it's been cold that whole time. So I'm thinking maybe that'll help a little bit. I mean, it's going to get better in the spring, right? It's not going to be a forever thing. It's going to get better already by March. But I'm like, fuck, I need to start flowering already, you know? So it's like, Jesus H
Um,
Christ. Um, so I'm
how
trying. I guess I could take it indoors, right? I could just fucking suck it all up and take it indoors and just fucking be done with it. But God damn
how
it, I wanted to just do it in the garage, have a beautiful grow out there, and just the veg that is there now, motherfucker. Go ahead.
I
I'm
think
done.
even if you were to put down a little subfloor, like even like a foam, like a foam gym mat kind of thing,
Mm,
floor to some kind of break between the floor, and then put
mm.
a grow tent on top of that. Even a grow tent would be some kind of break, not really insulated, but
Sure,
it's
sure.
some kind of break from the outside of conditions might help out.
I was gonna do that with the veg tents. So basically, my veg right now is a 4x8 Gorilla Grow tent, pretty much. And
Mm-hmm.
by the way, I don't super recommend Gorilla Grow tents. I guess they're better than some, but I'll speak about that another day.
The
But
zippers are good.
still, there I don't know. There's good things about them. There's bad things about them. By the way, welcome, Flora. What's going on, buddy?
How much? The zippers are good on those. That's the only thing I can
The
say.
zippers have gone to shit. That's the problem,
Really?
basically. The zippers, they've apparently changed production. Yeah, the zippers used to be amazing, unbreakable, basically, but they've apparently completely gone to shit. And
Okay,
mine was
hang
one of
on.
the first generation to go to shit, apparently.
There's
what?
two levels, right? So they have like their cheap ultralight level, and then they have
The
their like
light
better
line or
ones.
whatever, yeah, mine was the
Yeah.
light line, but even the light line supposedly had the good zippers. And now, apparently now even, okay, I don't know this firsthand, but supposedly online, because I was looking to see what the fuck was wrong with my zipper, it's a common complaint now, and evidently both series, the top and bottom
That
series, have
sucks.
switched zippers. It's fucking companies, isn't that
That
ridiculous?
sucks. Because they
Yeah,
used to be like that was their one thing,
seriously. Yeah,
and you can hang from them. The really thick poles. That
that's
was the
it.
other thing. Yeah,
Your mama
but
likes the polls. What's going on, Flora? What's
oh,
coming
not
up for
much.
you?
Just getting used to the freezing again.
Oh yeah. I was just talking about how annoying it is to deal with this fucking weather. I'm trying to start flowering and I can barely keep the temperatures up into survival level of these fucking plants. I don't want to take them indoors because I want to just grow in this garage. I want to set it up and just have everything there, right? And motherfucker, it's challenging.
Is it cement floor or is
Cement
it
floor. The walls are actually relatively well insulated. The garage doors got foam on it. What else? I'm not losing a lot of heat out the sides. I'm basically losing heat as far as I can tell, probably from the floor for sure, and then also through the roof, basically. And I guess I didn't finish saying that I could definitely put insulation up on that roof, but I would accumulate moisture behind that insulation, and I just don't want to fuck with. I don't want to destroy my fucking roof, you know. So. Can't think of another way to deal with that. Even honestly, well, okay, if I had a good enough dehumidifier, if I finished that, I think before you popped in, I was like, oh, I could just finish the garage ceiling and then insulate above that, and that would hold a lot of that heat in during the winter. Um, and if I dehumidified enough, I probably wouldn't build up moisture above that. So I guess there is that option long term, but
what about like stapling some plastic lining to the ceiling?
like panda film or yeah, like panda film or something, just coat in the
You
ceiling
could
with
do
it or
it. You could do
something.
it. Yeah, you could do something like that. Yeah,
I feel like the same thing would happen as with the insulation because the cold ceiling from outside would
build mold
meet
behind it.
the warm air from inside, and you'd get basically a pocket of condensation inside that would mold.
It
So I
would
feel
mold. Yeah, yeah,
you'd fuck up your place. I'd fuck up my place. Yeah.
yeah. It sucks.
Hmm.
So basically, you need fans and dehumidifiers up near there.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but that's probably one thing that I'm going to have to break down and do because I've been working with a commercial or not commercial, like a big box store dehumidifier, basically. I really missed my old one. Unfortunately, I left it at my old place. I had a GE that worked really well, and then when I moved here, I got a Frigid Air that's a little bit less robust, I would say, and the fucking thing keeps freezing over. over and over and over again. It freezes over. So I basically have to shut it off and defrost it for a few hours. So I'm just honestly going to have to break down probably and get like a Quest or something like a commercial unit and put it up, which is kind of infuriating because it's overkill for that space. It really isn't a gigantic space, but I don't know. At the moment, it's just so. I think partly because it's so cold, because what when warm air when air warms up, it holds more moisture. So paradoxically, the same amount of moisture becomes lower humidity, I believe. So yeah, basically with the same amount of moisture I have in my air right now, if it were 10 degrees warmer, it would already be a lower humidity. Frustrating. Fucking frustrating. Have you had a chance to start growing yet, Flora? Are you dealing with it? No, okay. Well, you're
Not yet.
lucky. Honestly, in the wintertime, I mean, I need to get flowering. I'm running out of fucking flour. I don't like to buy flour. We've talked about this a million times. So like, as growers, we function as time travelers basically, right? We always have to think ahead, and we always have to think ahead both for our harvests, for our seedlings, for our clones, but then also for our weed needs. You know what I mean? Like if we have to fucking smoke our weed, we have to actually have some weed to smoke. So,
No, got some different things to do to transition before I can get back to the old
I bet.
ways.
I bet. No,
But
but it's frustrating, man. Like I think a lot of us have, and a lot of us don't talk about how difficult it can be to maintain a grow. The reality of it is you really, I mean, okay, you can rent, but you really shouldn't fucking rent if you're a grower because 95%, 99% chance your landlord's going to say fuck no. Not only no, but fuck no if you ask them if you're going to grow. And if they find out, they'll evict you and whatever else because they don't want to have a chance that you're going to flood their place, whatever else. So basically, if you rent, you can't grow. If you have a condo, you essentially can't grow. You can do it as long as you can get away with it, but as soon as someone complains, you're fucked. And if you've ever had a condo, someone is going to complain. Like condos are complaint machines. They
yeah,
just
there's always a
exist
lot of
to
Karens in
find
those.
some asshole that will complain about something, right? And you will get fucked by anything that someone can complain about, no matter how private it is or anything, right? So you basically can't have a condo or an HOA. So essentially you have to own a freestanding house that's like owned free and clear. It's like, dude, it's so unusual to be able to grow without being molested by some fucker that's going to come and shut you down. Not even the police, So even when it's completely fucking legal, even if you could put a sign up that says "I grow weed here," like it's still difficult enough to actually find a place where you could fucking do that. Uh, Dude, every time there's this, I won't say where, but there's a drive through the country. I guess I'll say that because it's so obvious that I won't say any more than that. But there's a drive through the country here in the Willamette Valley where you drive by a house where it's obviously someone's medical grow, and it's just so obvious. You're just like, I salute you, my friend.
Oh, I've seen some obvious stuff down in Southern Oregon too, where it's just right off the side of the road, just greenhouse, and you can literally see into it. You
Yeah,
know, I'm
yeah.
like, wow.
One of us.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my stuff broken down. This is probably my
Hmm.
last bit of growing here I do for a bit. I'm trying to get my
Oh,
room finished. I want to remodel the room, the building I'm in, and everything. So,
interesting.
uh, I'm debating of whether I actually get rid of everything or I'm right now. I'm looking at like keeping like 8 or 9, maybe 10 plants like in a tent somewhere, moving them back in. But it's like the whole idea of possibly breaking down or even getting that low in plants is
Huh.
like stressing me out. Like, oh my god, I haven't been like without plants in I don't know 2 decades more. What am I gonna do without plants going? I don't know.
Love for the Plant nails it with that comment. The most recent comment says keeping a genetic library going is one of the most understated challenges in our world. I know full well how difficult it is to keep stuff. It was really impossible. Even my favorite plants, most of them basically got killed in the fucking transition and everything. It's so hard to hold on to stuff. Even when you have the best possible intentions and everything else. Crazy, crazy, crazy.
That's why when people come up out of the woodwork and they're like, "Yeah, I got this 1970 something skunk or something, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, bullshit."
Yeah, right.
Unless
Ain't
they
buying
pull
that.
out the weed, and then it's like the fuck, because
Well,
that's how many
that
clonings, how many mothers that potentially died, how many
what
times they
like
saved the
60,
plant
70,
from spider
80
mites.
generations ago. 80 generations of cloning.
Yeah, that's it. It's not a perennial. Love for the Plant says longest I've kept a cut is 7 years so far, and those years had 10 plus challenges, right? Like people like to say, "Oh, my plants never get bugs." Shut the fuck up. You are going to get bugs at some point. It's just one of life's many interesting situations. Life. What's the word? Oh, I can't think of the expression right now. Whatever. The universe is entropy. You will get fucking bugs. Cheers, by the way,
Yeah, I think I
everyone.
got about 4 or 5 of my plants down there right now that are more than 10 years old.
Wow.
And it's almost like one of them I don't really it's not I don't really use that. My daughter named it, and I'm like, oh, so I've been hanging on to it because she named it the whole time. I don't really smoke it. I don't breed with it. I just kind of keep growing it. It's just an Afghan. It's not really strong, but it's kind of pretty looking. But it's more like she named it when she was a little kid. I kind of keep it to it's nostalgic. I almost can't get rid of it. The
That's
idea of
awesome.
getting rid of it's like, oh my god, I'm killing my little girl's plant.
That's awesome.
So like, you start holding on to things for different reasons, and like
Yeah,
it's hard to part with things.
absolutely.
Become part of your family almost.
They do. They become like a pet or a yeah, like a family member, especially as you get into breeding them, they become quite you become attached to them, right? Because you've been selecting for these things. Yeah.
And then there's the
The reason
I
why I
don't know.
could never breed like dogs, dude, I'd have to keep 100 fucking dogs.
Oh my god, I have.
How would I call the dogs, right? It's like, shut the fuck up, you know?
Oh, I know. My wife was telling me about that. She's like, why don't you breed your peacocks? I'm like, well, you want to have
We will have
loads of
100
peacocks all
peacocks.
over the place? I'll probably end up keeping half of them.
100%. How are you gonna like seriously? What are you gonna kill your fucking peacocks? I mean, I guess some people eat peacocks, but I mean, like they're so stupid. You don't want to kill them. I know they're just so harmless.
I feel bad just taking her eggs so I don't have babies running around. So I have
Yeah.
to go in there and steal her eggs, and she gets mad at me and pecks at me
Oh,
and gives me
that's
the
funny.
evil eye. But I'm
That's
like,
funny.
sorry, sweetie, I can't be having babies running around because I can't get. I'll be keeping them more than likely. So I just don't need more animals to
Yeah, I
take care
don't.
of.
Is there a
These
strong
are my
market?
children.
Is there a
I
strong
know it's her
market for
kids. I
peacocks?
can't sell her kids. I mean, I feel bad taking her babies, her eggs. I call them her babies.
Oh,
She's
it's
all
such a
mad about it.
bizarre situation
So
when you think about it. Can you imagine some like alien species came along and abducted our children and was like, "Well, we can't have you running around. Holy shit." There's
oh
too many of
man,
you fuckers around here already. What's
yeah.
going on? What else is new, Flora? What's the good word, buddy?
That's I don't know, not much, just existing. Trying to get situated still. Um, had some failures on. I was trying to get a house and basically didn't get the loan, so now I'm trying to resituate how things are going to happen. But
Fucking
yeah,
houses now, they cost such an absolute fortune. I feel for you because when I was looking for houses, anything that wasn't a complete and total fucking shithole was basically almost certainly over 400, basically 20, 30, $40,000 more than I could afford. Pretty much is what it was.
yeah,
Anything that I saw that wasn't a dumpster fire was more than I could afford. And
yeah.
there were
There's
the
nothing under
exceptions, and if there were
500K.
some, they'd get bought up immediately. People were paying, it was like 2008 all over. 2007, it was I guess before the crash, where people were paying way over asking price and shit. It was ridiculous. One house I looked at, it needed both a new roof. And when I say a new roof, I mean to say that the roof looked like a hobbit house. Like that's how bad of a roof it was. It was fucked. Like it looked like an earth roof,
Oh my
basically.
god, yeah.
Live. The plumbing
Raccoon.
basically was non-standard, and it had knob and tube wiring. They still wanted and got $430,000 for this fucking place.
Oh my god, my
And it
kids
was, by the
complain
way,
about
right off of, no offense to the crackheads, but right off Crack Avenue, basically.
yeah. My kids complain they're not going to ever be able to afford to buy a house around here. So I was trying to find stuff, cheapest stuff in the area. And I found something really cheap. I'm like, oh my god, look at this, kids! And I started reading. I'm like, oh my god, no, it's close by, but it looks like literally like it got washed up by a flood somewhere, and it's just sitting there. I mean, it looks. You're basically paying for the land value minus taking away all the debris, which is tearing the house down and getting rid of it. And I'm like, it's like you're paying because it's just beyond repair the way it looks. I'm like, never mind, kid, you're right.
That's what your
Look
kids are gonna
someplace
have to
else.
take those deals where they move to those mountain towns in Italy where they give away
Oh
fucking
my
houses
god.
and shit. That's the only way they're gonna be able to get anything. It's fucking ridiculous.
What Joel can do though, I mean, because the laws changed last year. there's no more like single family residency in California. Now you can the zoning, you can build multiple places on,
Hmm.
one lot now.
Wow.
So he could always short plot and build something for his kids, on his land.
Wait, I have a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. I have a studio apartment in the main house.
Hmm.
So I have 3 buildings. I mean, the 1 bedroom is the grow place. The studio used to be the mail room. Now it's more like processing and all that kind of shit.
Hmm.
Chucking seeds in there and trimming, and
Hmm.
have like a little video studio set up in there and stuff.
That's cool.
But somebody could definitely get that. I just got to get the hot water heater hooked back up, and they're good to go.
Hmm.
There's no stove in
And
it though.
what sucks about land, like, is that like it's hard to get a loan on land. Like they want cash a lot of
Oh
times.
yeah,
Like I've been checking out land. It's like, oh fuck, yeah. Like, oh, perfect piece of property. It'd be easy to like put a septic tank in there and get, there's power. But then you look at it and they're like, oh, they want cash only. I'm like, fuck, I don't have.
it'd be convenient if you could get something you could actually pull up a camper or something there and then start working on a place and start building the place out.
Yeah,
Right
that's
in the
the
spot.
idea. But I don't have the capital right now. So
Yeah.
It's infuriating. I know what flora means because I was kind of entertaining the idea of literally buying a couple of acres of land because essentially for the same amount of money I could have bought just like unfinished land in random different places that are, adjacent to city services and stuff. And I could have thrown basically a camper on there. And so my idea was like, oh shit, I could just basically put a camper or a tiny house or whatever the fuck and then basically
yeah,
start growing. And then for example, in the wintertime, probably not grow because I'd have to build something. But in the summertime, outside of city limits with Oregon medical rules, I could fucking grow like 100 plants almost. It's not quite 100 plants, but it's pretty fucking close. So basically, it could be like California if I wanted it to, right? You can't really sell it legally and stuff, right? But you can have a fucking shitload if you wanted to. I could play with fucking 3 gram or three kilogram hash balls on the live stream if I wanted to. But fuck was I going to say? You're right. Basically, it's very difficult to get internet, sewer, you name it.
it's your favorite D. I got some naan.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
Oh, that's some garlic naan right there.
What?
Yeah, some
Ooh.
garlic naan.
Fuck yeah.
Oh,
It's my lunch snack.
nice. I haven't tried garlic naan yet, actually.
You don't want to. I saw you had like a frozen one or something. You want to
But
go to
yeah,
like an actual good like Indian restaurant,
I
and you can
I
tell
have
if their
one.
food. You can tell if their food's gonna be shit or not by whether or not the naan is good. Usually, like that's one of my tests.
Hmm.
Well,
Like,
No, that's fair.
good
Yeah.
segue. Good segue there, by the way, folks. Check out my channel and see my first visit to an Indian restaurant experience. Thank you,
nice,
Flora. Good
nice. I
segue.
didn't even know.
Oh, I've had good Indian food. But I just want to try this certain naan bread. But
Well,
the naan bread I get from the restaurant's really good.
if you ever make it to the west coast of your country, to right below right south of Vancouver is a city called Surrey, and there's
Yeah.
like 200,000 plus Indian people there,
Oh,
Yeah.
and they have they
shit.
have
I haven't been
amazing
there.
restaurants.
I mean, I've been to Surrey, but I haven't been to any of the Indian places. Apparently, it's basically as good as going to an Indian place in India because
Yeah,
it's a
it,
vibrant community, so you can't suck. You know what I mean?
We gotta go to
it
Surrey,
can't suck.
man. This is D. We're going to Surrey.
It's like with it's one of the reasons why in LA you basically can't find a shitty taco. I mean, okay, you can. I mean, you can go to Taco Bell or something, right? But you almost can't find a shitty taco because there's so many fucking Mexican people there. They would murder you probably if you had a shitty
Yeah,
taco, right? Like because
like
they would never go to your place again.
All right, guys, I gotta take off. I gotta go pick
There,
up
there,
Pip
sorry,
from
good to see you,
school.
buddy.
later, Joel.
Hey,
Nice talking
Joel.
to you.
Good to see you, North Star.
Thanks for having me on. You guys have a great
Bye,
day.
man.
Have a good one, Joel.
Cheers.
Take it easy.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, taco
Probably
trucks are
bounce here
amazing
in
in
a little
LA.
bit soon. Go ahead, Flora.
I said, yeah, the taco trucks are amazing in LA. Like,
Mhm.
that's one thing I've already noticed about the Northwest is the Mexican food is bland in the Northwest.
That's what
Like,
people say, but I think you just have to find the right spots. People like to complain about Mexican food in Portland, but honestly, there's a lot of places that are really sharp. Honestly, there's a really cool Oaxacan place. Actually, right across the street from each other are two really good spots on Killingsworth. There's some places in North Portland. There's some other places. So, like, there's a lot of good Mexican food even in Portland. It's not as abundant as it is in LA because I mean, you can literally throw a fucking rock in LA and hit taco spots. And some of them basically are some of the best taco spots in LA are literally trucks that pop up right
Yeah.
after it closes. What is it? Leo's Tacos. I was gonna say they've got like 4 or 5 locations around town. None of them open before like 7 o'clock p.m. and they're open until like 3 o'clock in the morning. So and they're always just in a parking lot somewhere. So the truck pulls up and they fucking unveil all this crap. And then by morning, you would have never known that there was a fucking taco empire there that last night. We don't have that kind of stuff in Portland, right? Because we don't really have the, I think, the mass or the volume of people probably. And even the same thing in Seattle. I think there's just not quite the same volume of people. Um, Seattle is weird too. Seattle like clears out at night and stuff. LA is the opposite. It gets more busy at night basically.
Night.
So yeah. There's all the street food at night because everyone's going to concerts and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think the Northwest has like more Asian food too than
Mhm.
Mexican food because you can get teriyaki pretty much on every corner.
Oh, fucking Seattle and teriyaki, dude. Holy shit. Um,
It's everywhere.
Clam chowders, teriyaki,
Oh, clam
whatever.
chowder's everywhere too. Yeah, there's
Those-
Ivers is the big thing here.
Yeah, but it's good too, though.
Oh, it's good. It's good quality.
Robert Benjula is saying west side of Cleveland has a lot of good Mexican food. That's good to hear. Uh, hey Benjula, so Benjula, I remember he can corrected us a couple times. It's not Benjula, it's Benjula. It's Slovakian. So I'm like, Benjula, do you follow Slovakian news at all? The new prime minister of Slovakia is apparently a premier. No, premier. Fuck, now I'm forgetting which position he is. Anyway, the boss of Slovakia is apparently a fucking knob. He just got elected not too long ago, and evidently he's a Putin butt boy. And his first thing, as soon as he was sworn in, he basically flew to Moscow and disappeared for a few days. The people lost track of him, and then they found him like a week later in a hotel in Vietnam.
What's
Very,
the fuck?
he popped up in like a luxury hotel in Vietnam. So probably the Russians basically flew him to some luxury place and gave him some little fucking bribes. Anyway, so I guess it's a big fucking scandal in Slovakia. They're saying they're going to throw another election, whatever else, or hold another election, I guess. Anyway.
So basically, just Putin just wants the USSR to be one again.
Dude,
Sounds like.
Putin is I think probably the world's biggest influence for bad shit. Like if you look at any problem around the world, it's basically Putin's behind at least part of it. It's really quite something. He backs all the like problematic parties worldwide, basically. He's at war with fucking half of Europe, it seems like. Total
But
fucking case.
Nice. Oh shit, Susie Sherlock.
Oh, cheers, Susie. Good to see you.
do you think that foreign entities should be able to buy U.S. property?
Oh, good question, honestly, because if we prohibited them, that would probably change the nature of our society, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. I think our kind of hyper-capitalist system is probably bad for most of us. Um, it definitely drives up the cost. So when you allow those foreign, this is something they talk about in Canada. Speaking of Surrey and Vancouver and Victoria, famously BC, I think all of Canada, but famously BC, all of it, the residential housing prices are lunacy. They're even higher apparently per capita than they are in the U.S., which is ridiculous. Like the average, what is it? The median house in Oregon is something like $550,000. Median in Oregon, all of Oregon, even in the rural fucking places where a lot of the houses are pretty dilapidated. In Washington, I think it might actually be higher, and in California, it is higher. I believe the median in California is
Welcome to
600
California.
something. In fucking Vancouver, I believe
That's
it's
expensive.
800 or more. I can look it up right now, but it's fucking even higher. And one of the biggest stated reasons, we'll take the stated reason as we'll just get how do I we'll get blah, 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 what am I trying to say? We'll take it at face value. The stated reason is that Chinese buyers basically are buying a lot of these properties, and in many cases keeping them vacant, basically keeping them as investment properties. So apparently a lot of the buildings in Vancouver are essentially semi-vacant because they're basically owned by offshore investors that don't intend to live there. They're just holding it as an asset essentially. Evidently a lot of those, especially really skinny buildings in New York City, also the same thing. Basically, they're just occupying asset space, and it's not even meant to be a fucking viable home. So that's fucked up because it just basically drives up the value of stuff. What is the median?
Yeah, now I've also heard that like Texas has a lot of like Saudi owned, a lot of the properties owned by Saudi, like in the
Mhm.
Houston area, which I don't know. I mean, do they
Holy
allow us
shit
like
balls.
can we go buy property in Saudi Arabia or Russia? I
Fucking
mean,
doubt it.
I
No,
mean,
Russia, I don't know, but in Saudi Arabia, I fucking doubt it.
I wouldn't
yeah.
buy. I wouldn't buy anywhere. Go anywhere in Russia.
Well,
Fuck
whether or
that.
not whether or not
Yeah,
you'd want to or not, I'm just wondering, like, is it a fair thing where they buy our stuff? Can we buy their stuff?
no, I think you nailed it. I don't think the answer is yes. I think the answer is absolutely no. So median house price in Vancouver, the city, is even worse than I thought it was. So no wonder people are fucking going crazy. 1.275 million for a house in Vancouver.
That's insanity.
Vancouver, by the way, it is a big city. Don't get me wrong, it is a big city, but it's not a fucking metropolis. It's not like LA, it's not like New York. You
No.
wouldn't expect a city like that to have $1.2 million fucking houses. But
Hmm.
go, no wonder they're complaining. What the fuck? So,
Yeah.
what is Vancouver, BC, or in BC in general? They did median house
It is
price.
beautiful there, though.
Oh, Vancouver's one of my favorite cities.
Hmm. Yeah, it's awesome, but yeah, it's expensive.
No,
Window.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
BC housing market. There we go. BC housing market. No, they're still showing me fucking. There we go. British
2 minute
Columbia.
warning.
British Columbia. All of British Columbia. Dear shit, still over 800,000. Okay, so I'm not finding the same chart to make it as easy to look at. So we'll just look at this one instead. It's got the same numbers. So basically, they've got the different areas. Uh, I feel like we should get D to pronounce these. I'll probably mispronounce them. Fraser Valley, Greater Vancouver, Okanagan,
Okanagan. Yeah.
Kootenay, Kootenay,
Kamloops.
Victoria,
Kootenay.
Vancouver Island,
South
what else? No doubt, no
East.
doubt about it.
I can read them if you want, eh?
Go for it, eh?
All right. British Columbia, eh? Chilliwack, Fraser Valley, Greater Vancouver, Okanagan,
Hey,
Kamloops,
what happened to your
Kootenay.
French?
No.
You don't have your French for a
South
while.
East, Northern BC, Powell River, Vancouver Island, and Victoria.
Nice. Nice.
A.
Now we know, eh? So ladies and gentlemen, that blue
Take
line
off.
represents British Columbia. So unfortunately, this is all fucked up. Here we go. Can we
What's
do it?
that red? What's that green line on the
British
top?
Columbia, $942,000. So all of British Columbia, the average house price is $942,000.
Who can afford that?
I
Yeah,
don't
I
have
know.
any idea. That's also in Kazakhstan money, so that's like $8 billion. I don't know.
Kanakistan.
But
Yeah.
fuck, it's fucking crazy, dude. These people are not gonna have like most people are not gonna be able to. Anyone who doesn't have a house is probably not gonna be able to afford a house unless they're fucking Bill Gates, basically. What the fuck?
Do they have rent control in Canada?
I don't know, man.
I think we do. I don't know.
Because
Oh,
like the local people, they've been there all their life. They're like been renting, like, I'm sure their rents were like under $1,000 in the 90s, and now it's, who knows? What are you guys paying? Like 3 grand a month for a little tiny place?
Absolutely.
I don't know. All I do know is it's expensive to live in Vancouver. Fuck that. Nice place to live. It's a nice place to live, but or visit. I wouldn't want to live there.
Hmm.
Cheers,
What,
everybody.
Vancouver?
420.
I used to know people that lived there, 20 years ago, but
I've been hearing how expensive it is, and now you see the prices. I mean, no wonder. Holy crap! How does
yeah.
a young person or anybody afford a house? How does really anybody afford a house?
First,
Those are basically Los Angeles prices, pretty close to it, you know?
yeah, they are. Yeah, the people I knew, they went to Calgary, so I guess that must be cheaper.
Hmm.
Colder too.
I mean, Los
That's
Angeles
what
is still
why.
more, I guess it depends on where in Los Angeles, because Los Angeles is a huge fucking place. If you were in the San Fernando Valley, you could probably get a house for You might still be able to find a house for around $1 million, but you have to go very far up in the valley,
Yeah,
very
you're not getting
far.
nothing like in the places
Yeah.
like in any of the beach cities like Venice or
Oh no,
Santa
absolutely
Monica. You're
not.
not getting nothing, nothing. You can't even get
Nothing
an
like
empty
that.
lot probably for that $1 million.
Flora is not exaggerating. You couldn't get an empty lot, honestly, for that. You could get a beach house, surprisingly, because I looked just out of curiosity. I couldn't afford them, but I was just curious. You could definitely get one for the 1.2, $1.3 million
Oh,
range,
definitely, yeah, yeah.
but you have to
Needs
start at
work.
like $1 million. You're not going to get anything for really less than that.
Even though 1, 2, it's like it's going to be an older one, and
Yep,
it might probably going to need some work.
yep, absolutely.
Because like
Uh,
I was looking at San Clemente like about a year ago, and there was some stuff that was like 900 to like 1, 2, but it was all like older,
mhm,
50s, 60s. It was built, needed work,
mhm.
but then you know, then a divorce happened, so now no longer can look at that stuff. But
Listen
Captain
to this. Go ahead, go
Captain
ahead.
420 in the chat says 97 USD for a 3 bedroom house in Shanghai.
That's per month, I imagine, right? The rental, yeah, it was
on the
ridiculously.
flip side, you go to Detroit and get a house for 10 grand.
Not anymore. Detroit's actually come a long way, but you're right. They do show a lot of those houses in what? There's a
Eight
couple
Mile.
in Michigan still. Indiana is a big one where they're actually still kind of giving out houses. Basically, you can get houses for like 10 grand, whatever, in these different places. But a lot of times they need a lot of work. You look at like the back of this old house, and they're basically giving out houses, and it's usually like fucking somewhere in Indiana, whatever. Yeah.
But you might be able to get depending on where it's at, you can get a USDA loan
Hmm.
to fix it,
Hmm.
basically.
That's cool.
You know, which I don't know. It's
I
better
mean,
if people.
if
It's
you're like
better
a
if people
digital
live
native,
places.
if you can go anywhere, fuck, as long as you can get anywhere, you
With
know,
bullet holes.
Or
that's it.
or just buy it and bulldoze it and buy one of those $20,000 tiny homes.
That's it. There you go. Listen to this.
Big
Coffee Pot says that you bought his ex's house in 1990 for $40,000 in Kitimat, BC. I wonder how much that same house is now. I bet it's probably 800,000 or a lot more.
million.
Well outpaced inflation, I'm sure. Uh, what was I going to say? In Portland, it was ridiculous. It used to be you could get nice 2, 3 story bungalows, 3,000 square feet. I've knew people who got some houses like this for a couple $100,000. Now forget it. For anything less than eight, nine, $100,000, $1 million, forget it. Just forget it. Uh,
So you guys have like an interesting situation too in Oregon, because you guys don't have the sales tax.
hmm.
The property tax, I guess, is extraordinary expensive, is from what I've been told.
I guess it depends on your perspective. It is definitely a lot higher than I would like it to be, for fucking sure. I don't think it's that much higher percentage wise than it would be in California. The difference in California is that uh, thanks to like a 1980 law, your property tax doesn't increase over a
One
very small
percent.
percentage, except for
One
when you
percent.
sell it, basically. Is it 1%?
Yeah.
Until you sell, and then they
Yeah, of course. Whenever you sell it, yeah, that's like I
but
always tell
percentage
people.
wise, it's I don't think that much higher. But we do, I think, have one of the higher property taxes. Texas has the highest, I believe,
Really?
in the
Wow.
country. But
That's
yeah, it's
pretty.
definitely higher than I would like it to be. I've definitely known people who got taxed, basically property taxed out of their house. I used to know a guy that lived off of Belmont, and he inherited his house. He was a really interesting guy, honestly, like a one of a kind kind of guy, really a dying breed kind of guy in a literal sense. He was a master tobacco blender, and there's basically almost none of those anymore left. All the pipe tobacco companies are all closing down, like right and left. So basically, at the time, this is a long time ago, there were like 20 or 30 of these guys left in the world. So now there's probably 40, I want to say. So there's probably less than half of that now. Anyway, he was a master tobacco blender, and he inherited his house from his grandma or some shit, and both his wife and daughter were disabled. The fucking luck this guy has. His property taxes, because it was a super hot neighborhood, went from like $3,000 or $4,000 when he first inherited the thing to $15,000 because the property value basically went way over $1 million, and he couldn't afford it anymore because his tobacco job basically went to shit, and Da, 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 da. Anyway, long story short, he had to sell the house basically because of the property taxes, just couldn't afford it. And that happened, I think he said, in a matter of just a few years. He got three assessments, I believe, and the assessments went so much higher every single year.
Hmm.
Probably some of his neighbors sold. You know what happens a lot of times? The assessors are kind of
Yeah,
above
comparative
the law.
market
They'll look in
analysis.
your window. They're one of the few people who are allowed to actually look in your window, evidently. So if they look in your window and they see fancy shit, apparently they notate that and your assessment goes up. So Jesus H Christ, what the fuck?
No, I think how far is Detroit from Portland? Detroit, Oregon.
Oh, good. Detroit, Oregon.
Yeah.
Let's call it 3 hours ish. That's
There's like
basically by the Detroit
because
to
they had
Yellowstone.
like big fires a couple years back,
Oh yeah.
and it like fucking ravaged that area. But
Yeah.
I bet that area is like really nice and cheap now.
Oh, well, you'd be surprised because, for example, Hood River area, they just got the shit got burned out of it by that kid. It was basically set by this kid who cost a ton of fucking like billions of dollars in damage. You'd be surprised because the real estate prices didn't go anywhere. It's still
Really?
desirable land. Yeah. Because people know it's going to grow back, I think. That's basically what it is, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. I got to find somewhere in the Northwest. I like it here too much.
Yeah. There's still some places. I saw some decent places on the coast. I definitely saw some halfway affordable places on the coast. You do have to deal with a whole kind of lifestyle on the coast. A lot of people who have lived on the coast have told me it's not really all it's cut out to be. So you have to really go there kind of intending to either know that it's very isolating or be prepared to be isolated and stuff like
You know,
that.
like, are you talking
Or
like Seaside or something? Or
100%. Even the bigger towns, Newport, it doesn't matter, honestly. Lincoln City, Seaside is a good example. A friend of mine lived in Seaside, and Seaside is a relatively, it's not, I mean, it's a smaller town. It's definitely probably in the 50, $60,000 person range, but it's not like a tiny town, right? And yet it's apparently very isolating because most of the people that are there at any given time are tourists. Most of the people who work there work in the tourist industry. So when they go home, they're just like, ah, fuck people. I don't want to talk to people. So basically, even when you meet people at the bar or something, they're not nearly as friendly as you would want them to be. That's basically what I've heard many times from those coastal communities. So you have to basically be willing to kind of be your own person on the coast, which not everybody can really do. You know what I mean?
Washington has a lot of towns like that.
Mhm.
You know, people don't know their neighbors. They don't want to fucking know their neighbors.
Yep.
They see you outside. They don't want you waving or saying hi to them.
Like a good neighbor, stay
This
the
is one
fuck
of the
over
reasons why our
there.
society has gone the way it has. Absolutely, as we don't really
Yeah.
communicate with each other
You know,
outside of town.
it wasn't like that in Cali where I was at. Everybody said, you know, everybody would even like people with the same type of car wave at each other in
Yeah.
SoCal, you know.
No, people get California way wrong. You know, like Dee was laughing about how you get shot at when people honk at you in LA. And I'm like, I am never not surprised how friendly, that's a terrible English. I am always surprised when I go to LA. Even though I've gone there a million fucking times, I'm still surprised that the drivers are friendly. It always catches me off guard. Somehow I always know and I tell people, oh, the drivers in LA are not bad. They're actually really friendly.
I
But I'm
mean,
always surprised when I was down there just, a few months ago. There's never a time when if you need to get in, someone won't let you in. It
oh
doesn't
yeah,
happen.
yeah,
Maybe
up
one
in
asshole cuts
Northwest.
you off, the next person will be like, bro, come on in. They will stop. They will especially let you in if someone cuts you off. Like LA drivers are friendly. And you think to yourself, what? LA drivers are friend. It's the
Really?
last thing that you would ever
Yes.
think. You know what I mean?
Oh,
They are
Yes.
genuinely
Yeah,
friendly.
the Northwest drivers, they're like, you put your blinker on one blink and they speed up and try to close the gap.
Mhm.
It's like they have this weird inferiority complex thing where they don't want you to be in front of them. But like LA, yeah, like literally you put your blinker on, they let you go. And there's a lot of
huh.
places where in LA, like if you don't get off right there, you're gonna it's gonna take you a long time
Yeah,
to
you're
get
gonna have
back
to
to
go a
where you're at.
long way.
Yeah, you
100%.
have to go a long
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
So I think that's another reason people are kind of like, you know, hey, like dude needs to get off, you know.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, and
Huh.
I think it's just don't be a dick. It's better to be a courteous driver anyway, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You know, there are dick drivers in LA too. There's dick drivers in
Yeah,
California, no
everywhere.
question about it.
everywhere. Yeah.
But generally speaking, the drivers are actually shockingly fucking friendly in actually all of Southern California. I'm sure there's places where they're douchebags, right? But probably La Jolla or somewhere, right? Where Mitt Romney lives. But other than that, I don't even know. La Jolla is probably fine too. Bud Kilowatt kind of lives in that area. Uh, Bud Kilowatt is
Maybe
saying
Coachella has some dick drivers.
Southern California coastal, no matter how expensive it gets to live in this paradise, you get what you pay for. He's not lying. I mean, the weather, especially where Bud is, it's
Oh,
literally Mediterranean climate. You know, I guess it's figuratively because it's not the literal Mediterranean, but it's the exact same fucking climate. It's like 72 degrees, 73 degrees.
Basically like San Diego, right? Climate where
So
he's
yeah,
at.
like North San Diego. Yeah. So it's like
Yeah.
almost always sunny with a few clouds. It's not too hot at all. It's not too cold. At night, it's chilly, just chilly enough to put on a jacket, but not as like a sweater, but not even a fucking jacket or a coat. In the daytime, you could walk around with a hoodie if you wanted to. It's cool enough that it's like that temperature basically. It's
So my friends that live in that area that you're talking about, Fumi, they always tell me that they pay for that weather. That's why it's so expensive there. You know, like they're like, yeah, they're willing to pay the money to live there because they have year round. It doesn't freeze, right?
yeah,
They can have like my, my buddy does like multiple cycles a year outside.
yeah,
Just does a little light depth thing, and
yep,
like it's perfect.
yep.
So yeah, it's what was it? The movie with Will Ferrell? I think it was Will Ferrell. He said like San Diego is the armpit of America. But
I
not
gotta
really.
watch those movies again. Bud Kilowatt saying my kind of people is why I don't like living one block from the beach in Cardiff. People are too uppity. Oh, I fucking bet. Holy shit. He said it's more comfortable with acres out in the hills. God damn, that was a perfect setup, Bud. Holy shit. I was so jealous of that place. God damn it. Bud Kilowatt used to have this his landlord fucked it up. What the fuck? Like you got to be mad at that landlord on his behalf. Like apparently she got foreclosed or something. Anyway, he had this mountaintop and they had free electricity because there was
Oh,
a
he doesn't have that
weather
anymore.
station on there, so he could grow whatever the fuck he wanted. He could leave all the lights on, probably leave a spotlight on to the moon if he wanted to, most likely. Anyway, not only that, but he had a fucking mountaintop in paradise. Shut the fuck
Yeah,
up.
because he had the cell tower or something on the property, right?
Yeah,
It was like
yeah,
subsidizing the power
yeah.
or something you said,
Yeah, I think it was a weather station. I
or
don't
a
remember.
weather station or some shit. Yeah, like I didn't realize he didn't have that anymore. That
Yeah,
sucks.
yeah. I guess we don't want to dredge up old
Yeah,
memories,
yeah,
but whatever. It happens. Shit happens to us fucking growers, man. We have to fucking adapt and move on. And then you end up losing half your genetics or three-quarters of or all your genetics, and you have to start over. Jesus H Christ.
yeah. Moving, I had to don't have any of my mom's anymore, right? That
Mm,
sucks.
mm.
I mean, I gave some stuff to some people, but I might as well consider it gone because I don't think.
That's the real kind of one of the shitty realizations you get. Like you're like, fuck, even when you give out these cuts to some of your friends, they don't keep them, you know, like and you can't blame people to some degree, but fuck, when someone tells you they're gonna keep it, you think they're gonna keep it, right? But most people don't. They
Just
just
don't expect it, and if they do, then it's a bonus.
that's it. That's how it is. What else can you do, man? You can't really judge the people too harshly. If you do, I mean, then you just won't have any friends. You know, I don't know. I don't know what the excuse is because if you know that you're not going to hold on to something for someone, tell them to their face, I can't hold on to that for you. Right? And then the person will know that they can't hold on to that. They're just going to have to keep
It's not
it.
always that though. I mean, sometimes there's just situations in life that come up,
That's true too. That's true too.
you know, and it's not. It doesn't mean the same thing to them as it does to you.
Mhm. Also true. Yeah.
You know.
No, that's also true because if they were to say, let's say they have their own disaster, because every grower is going to have a disaster at some point, it's just going to happen. They're going to have to save what's precious to them, right? And like you say, that's going to be the last thing on the block. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it happens.
but yeah, it's not always roses. I mean, there's a flip, but there's a lot of good upsides when things are good. They're
Mhm.
good, you know. So yeah, I just kind of roll with the waves.
Yeah, man. enjoy the good weed when you have it, and hope for the good weed when you don't. I guess that's the way to fucking do it. Try to
I
try.
mean, I guess I don't know. I guess a lot of East Coast has it now too, but worst case scenario, there's always a store you can get something. It's not like it's bad. It's not like the old school days where like there was nothing.
Mhm.
If you
No,
ran
you're
out, there
right.
was
On the
nothing.
entire West Coast, you're probably never more than maybe 100 miles from a good clone shop. Because seriously, just in Oregon, I know there's good clone shops in Portland. I haven't been to them, but I've heard in Salem. I definitely know that there's some in Eugene, Southern Oregon for sure, because I know quite a few people get their clones down there. So basically, at least on the western side of the state, I knew if I run out of everything, I could at least have some decent stuff within a day. Like it cost me money, but I'd have to go and I would have to go and get the clones and stuff, but I could still at least grow something, right?
And
That's
I
a
don't know what happened with LA and the fires. Like, I imagine they didn't lose too much because LA's so big, right? But
The thankfully, I don't think any of those fires have come anywhere close to like the Green Dragon yet or the Buds and Roses. But who knows if they have some of their warehouse space? Probably not in Pacific Palisades. It'd be too expensive to have warehouse space there. But Altadena, a lot of places might have had warehouse space in Altadena. That was definitely one of those more affordable communities where a lot of middle class people would have had houses. You could definitely get a house there for around a million, you know what I mean? Which sounds like a ton of money, but we're already talking about basically a blue collar house in LA. So
yeah,
yeah,
LA's
the whole city of Altadena apparently is gone. Is that fucked?
that's crazy.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really fucked situation because California had this problem the last several years with insurance companies like fucking basically bouncing, right? And you can't renew your policy. And there's only was a couple companies left, and one of them's like the state thing, and like a lot of people's houses are heavily uninsured. And then
Hmm.
some of those houses, like Pacific Palisades, like some of those are like generational families, right? Like things been paid off 50 years ago.
Yep.
So they may not even had insurance, because it's not really. I guess it's not required unless you finance. So like, yeah, it's a fuck situation there.
Absolutely. Because the insurance, combined insurance with earthquake, fire, what else? Those are the main ones that
Flood,
are still
flood. If
on.
you're near the water, you
Flood
have
if
to have
you're
flood.
near the water. But a lot of LA is not really in flood danger, but some of it is,
No,
honestly.
but but the coastal like Malibu, right? That's
Mhm.
you're gonna have to have flood insurance for Malibu. You're right by the ocean.
Mhm. So you could, but I guess what I was going to say is you could definitely be looking at a 4 to 5 figure insurance policy per month in many cases for houses. So it's not surprising. I mean, literally thousands of dollars. It's not surprising.
Thousands of
A lot of people are
dollars.
like,
Yeah,
can't afford the insurance. And then when their house burns down, the fuck are they going to do? I guess they have some shitty land now. So,
well, the land still has the value, obviously, but the problem is that they can't rebuild what they had. They don't have the
mhm,
money to do that. A lot of people,
that's it.
and then
Ends up
the
happening
and
is
then
just
the
like in Hawaii, rich people come along and snap up those.
yeah. So I'm saying the predatory people come in and they do land grabs, and then what are they going to build? They're going to build these fucking
mega mansions.
ugly ass things where it's a bunch of businesses on the bottom and 3 stories of apartments, right? Like, who wants a city full of that shit? We already have a city full of that shit.
Yeah, it's a little bit depressing. We drove through Pacific Palisades out to Malibu just a few months ago, and to think that all those houses, in many cases, just burned down right on the PCH. Apparently, that whole stretch apparently just burned down. I remember going to Santa Rosa a few years ago, and I had just been to Santa Rosa for the High Times Cup, I want to say, or the fuck, what's the other one? The now they do it in LA, but the old one, the Emerald Cup. It might have been the Emerald Cup that I'd been to the previous year, and I came back after the fires, and it looked like fucking Beirut or some shit. It was like Bosnia. It looked fucking horrible. And the most amazing thing is that on one side of the road it would be fine, and on the other side it looked like a bomb went off. All you saw were fireplaces and whatever else, and everything else was just razed to
Fucked.
the fucking ground. It was nuts. It
That's
just was
fucked.
nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, and forgot about the Emerald Cup. That's outdoor and organic or outdoor only or
Oh, who
something.
knows now? Yeah, now they do it in LA and stuff. It's not even up in Santa Rosa anymore. I don't know.
Oh, it's not.
He
Oh,
sold it, so I think it's big money now. So whatever they
oh,
do differently now, I'm sure.
yeah. The cups are kind of not what they were then. I mean, all of them
Sure
pretty
aren't.
much got
They
sold,
really
right?
aren't.
Like everything got sold, or and then you got these new ones, some new ones that popped up, like this cowboy thing. I think in I heard a cowboy cup. I think it's in Oklahoma or something.
Yep. Yep.
Um, I don't know if that's just for them or if anybody can go to that.
Good question. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know because
Need
obviously,
more, Krish?
you wouldn't be able to enter it unless you were breaking laws.
Yeah,
Because
right. It's amazing.
yeah,
So freaking annoying. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to wrap it up here. It was good to hear from you, Flora. Honestly, nice to see you.
yeah,
But I do have to get back to the garden and stuff, so I do have
yeah. I
to.
got a bunch of stuff I got to do too.
It was great to see you, though.
Yeah, good to see you
Lovely
too.
to see folks in the chat. But Kilowatt is saying no earthquake or fire insurance in lots of parts of California. We're going to see a lot of this in Florida. They're pulling out. Speaking of flood insurance, hurricane
Oh, they
insurance,
got hurricane. Yeah,
pulling out.
New
It's not
Orleans with
insured anymore.
snow. What the hell?
And how do people, speaking of working or blue collar or even middle class people, how are you supposed to get a loan or keep your loan if you don't have insurance? If you have a loan, you're required to have insurance, which honestly makes sense because if the bank loaned you that money, they want to make sure they don't lose that money, basically, right? So you have the collateral of the house, but also if the house washes away in a fucking flood, there has to be the money so they get paid back, right? It makes sense on some level, right? So it's not
That's
like
why I think that state insurance thing, it's California state thing, but that's
to be state
still it's
insurance.
not.
There needs to be state and federal insurance now. Yeah, because places like California are going to dry up for insurance, and it's not just going to be California with climate change. Now, our new incoming administration doesn't believe in climate change, but it's going to happen anyway. And places like New Mexico, Texas, you name it, all these southern states are going to end up starting to get really dry and burning up, and everything else. Hurricanes, you name it, are going to be super common. Whatever. Well, this administration's not going to address it, so I guess not even worth talking about it, really.
They have 4 years.
Yeah.
They can't run again, so 4 years.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's only 4 years. That's at least my hope that it's only 4 years, right, Flora?
I think we got a new guy too. We also got a new guy in Washington. I'm not really. I don't know much about him though, but it's a new governor here. Got sworn in last week. Um, don't know if he's good or bad yet. To find out. Find out. But yeah, a lot of
Jay Inslee. No, that's not Jay Inslee.
no. Inslee's the guy just left.
Bob
Ferguson.
Ferguson. That's right.
Ferguson. I don't know anything about him though.
Ferguson. Hi, my name's Bob.
Kurt Ferguson.
Oh,
Well, he's not 1,000 years old. That's a good sign. All right. Well, ladies and gerbils, maybe we'll start saying our good evenings. Flora, go for it, buddy.
yeah, peace, everybody. Good to talk to everybody, and talk to you guys again. Maybe next Wednesday.
Cheers, dude. Good to see
Right
you, man.
on.
All right, later. All right, bye.
Later.
Thanks, Flora.
Hopefully we can see Flora again. Go for a D.
Yeah, it was good to see Flora. I don't know what was up with Flora's camera though. It looked more. I don't know. It looked different than it usually looks.
I think he might have been using his laptop or something. Yeah, good
Well,
question.
maybe.
Why not?
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks to all you chatters and chatters, people chatting in the chat and lurkers, blah blah blah. I'm gonna go lay down now. Nap time. Don't forget to tune in Saturday for the takeover show. Jeez, I can't even get that right. 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock Pacific on the Fumadoro channel. Have a great week, everybody. See you Saturday. Oh, and thanks, Jeremy, like always, buddy.
Welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Don't forget to see the takeover on Saturday, ladies and gentlemen, where we have a pretty chill evening. Dee takes the show over, and we like to just basically goof off, obviously, right? Don't, of course, forget to see his channel, ladies and gentlemen. D underscore zombie. No, fuck. D zombie underscore 745, right, D?
Yes, 745. Yes, you
There
got
you
it,
go. I
Pontiac.
think I got that right. Go check his channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, D, of course, for as always helping out. Did you see Jeff back at you? He says peaceful thoughts to all. DGC Jeff also says he had an insurance claim where the new energy codes drove the cost 2 times higher. That's an interesting subject, perhaps for next show. You should bring that up, Jeff. I'm curious about that. Certainly, you can hear. I've heard about all kinds of crazy things. One of my neighbors in my last place, they decided to retired couples. So I guess it kind of puzzled me the way that they did things. They could have remodeled their place and just essentially rebuilt the house, but they decided to tear down their house and rebuild the exact same house, just a little bit bigger. It was literally the same house, just a little bit bigger. Well, in the process, they got the same problem. They should have honestly just, in my opinion, they should have just built a new house because they tore down the house to such an extent that it triggered a rule in Portland that they had to put a sidewalk in front of their house, and the street didn't have a sidewalk, so they had to get apparently they had to get a civil engineer to engineer the sidewalk. They couldn't just pour it. They couldn't get a concrete person to get it. Apparently, according now, this is according to them, so I haven't verified this according to Hoyle or whatever, but this is according to them, they had to get a city engineer and a civil engineer to actually design the thing. It ended up costing them with the design itself, I think it was $20,000, $30,000, and the concrete and everything else, they spent something like $60,000 to put basically a sidewalk to nowhere because on one side there was no sidewalk and on the other side there was no fucking sidewalk, but in front of their property there was sidewalk now, and that cost something like I can't remember, $60,000. At some point I remember saying like, what would happen if you just get some concrete and a contractor? It's just like a contractor might not do it because they don't want to lose their license, but like what would happen if you just fucking did it? It's just like just tried to pull it off, and maybe you actually did it. Like would the city make you tear it up? They didn't know. They were like, we're just gonna do it. And so they just swallowed the $60,000. Like I don't even know how to express how I would have felt in that circumstance. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, seriously, D Zombie is saying concrete's not that hard to fucking learn, man. It's like Play-Doh, bro. Come on, shit. I can get my hands dirty. Disaster ensues. Ladies and gentlemen, that would be a funny movie. Thanks very much for joining us, my friends. Don't forget to be kind, be decent, be gentle. Don't be fucking pricks, dicks, or lunatics. As I said yesterday, no imminent announcements about Fumidoro quite yet, but I'm hoping to bring it back right away. I was already hoping to be back, candidly, but hopefully in the next, hopefully a few days, honestly. But it's just taking me forever to switch over to the new place and get everything set up and stuff. So hopefully I'll get over there. I don't want to start like taking orders when I can't fulfill them and stuff like that. So this is bullshit. I don't want to repeat that again. There's been times in the past where I was like, whatever. This wasn't simple. So, ladies and germs, I hope that Fumidoro will be back. I hope that you will see new lines from me in the near future. I hope you will entertain, of new experiences basically with Fumidoro. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned because nothing to report quite yet. But in the meantime, folks, like I said, make sure to puff something wonderful. I already said the other stuff. What else? Any other announcements? Not really. Ladies and gerbils, don't be a fucking Nazi. I mean, seriously, don't be a Nazi. If you ever want to do me a favor, punch a Nazi in the dick. If you ever wonder, oh, I wonder what Fumi would enjoy from a favor, dick punching. Punch a Nazi in the dick. Not dick punching. Nazi dick punching. That would be the ideal favor for Fumidor. If you see a Nazi, punch them in the dick for Fumidor. That's the way to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for hanging. And until we meet again, adios. Cheers, Jones. Good to see you, buddy. He says, where's my shovel? Good to see you, my friend. Wait, what does it say? Hail roof damage on a cathedral ceiling needed to meet R20 code, so a new roof deck with sheets of insulation was needed. How funny. Ladies and gerbils, adios. Thanks for hanging, and